Okay, so today we're going to do how to play for Everdell Farshore. Now, Everdell Farshore is designed by James and Carissa A. Wilson, and it is published by Starling Games. It's a 1 to 4 player game. I'm going to show you primarily how to play the multiplayer game. However, towards the end of the video, there's going to be a little section, a quick overview on the solo player mode for this game. Now, I will mention the solo player mode is also a cooperative multiplayer mode, which is really cool too. So let's go ahead down the table. I'm going to show you how to set up the game, how to play the game, and all that stuff. Let's do it. Okay, so this is going to be Everdell Farshore. Now, I wanted to show you setup. Setup for the game is actually pretty darn easy. What you're going to do to start out is you're going to put out this game board here, and you're going to construct the lighthouse. Now, this lighthouse is just of 4 pieces that these 2 pieces slot together, and then you put the 2 cat pieces on there, and that's it. And that'll go up here along with your deck of cards for the game. You'll also put out your treasure tokens, your shell point tokens that are over here. You're going to place out your resources in these locations. This is going to be your driftwood, seaweed, stones, and mushrooms for the game. Each player is going to get 2 of these little animal meeples in their color. They're going to get 3 of these anchors, the really cool metal anchors here, and 3 of their animal meeples are going to go up on the top there to be unlocked at the different seasons. And 1 of them is going to go into these boats that you'll have to construct here. Just a cardboard sail, nice plastic boat, and then you put your little animal meeple in there and you place them on the start line of this track. In addition to that, you're going to shuffle up these wind rose tokens. You're going to see that they have a B side to them. So you'll shuffle these up and you'll have a B pile and an A pile. You'll flip over the top one. And this is going to indicate which type of card that you're going to want to try to play to move your sailship forward, but we'll go over that in a minute. So once we have the A's and the B's there and the top one flipped up, that part set up, the next thing we need to do is we need to determine who's going to be the first player. Whoever's the first player is going to get 5 cards, second player is going to get 6 cards, third player is going to get 7 cards, and fourth player is going to get 8 cards. We're going to put out these map tile tokens next. These map tile tokens you can gain at different points of the game, and these are going to be gold tiles that you can get. So these, if you're playing with a 4-player game, you're going to put these with the 2 on the top, then the 1, then the 1, then the 0. If you're playing with a 3-player game, you're going to remove 1 and the 1, and you'll have a 2, 1, and 0. If you're playing 2 players, you'll just have the 1 and the 2. These, you'll repeat this for all the rest of the map tiles, and you'll place these all up in the left-hand corner here. Next, you're going to set out the tableau here of cards. The tableau of cards is going to be 8 cards, 2 rows of 4. When you're placing these out, if you end up getting a duplicate, you will place that over the other card and continue dealing out. I had a duplicate here, so I placed that over that card, but I continue dealing out. So this setup here guarantees that you always have 8 unique cards in this marketplace for everyone to pick from. Setup is almost complete. The last thing that you need to do is you need to shuffle up these tile tokens here. These are going to be your islands. And once you shuffle up these island tokens, you're going to place island tokens equal to the number of players. In this case, we have 4 players, so we'll put out 4 island tiles. And these are just additional workers placement spaces that you can go to. The rest of these tiles you'll put in the back of the box. You won't need them. So this gives you a lot of variety of these different worker placement spots that can be out in the game. So in a nutshell, that is it for setup. Now we're going to move on to how do you play and how do you win this game. All right, so let's start off with how do you win the game? Well, you win the game by having the most points. And you're going to get this by trying to accumulate points over 4 different seasons. As at the end of the 4th season, your game will end. You will get points from the cards that you place out in your tableau. They have points listed on them here in the middle right hand corner here. That's how many points you would get in the end of the game if you place them out in your tableau. You'll get points for however far your sail ship makes it. So if your sail ship makes it down to all the way down to here, that's 38 points. You'll get a point for every shell that you have. And some of your cards give you end game bonus points, and you can get points from these map tiles. I'll go over how those map tiles work when I talk about that worker placement spot. But that's how you win the game. All right, so how do you play the game? Well, you are going to pick between playing a card, so playing a card from your hand or from this area here, or you're going to place one of your workers on the map and do what it says there, or you're going to move to another season and collect those rewards or end your game. Now, with that said, when you're going through these different seasons, not everyone will end their games at different times. They're pretty close, but everyone will end their game at a different time. So keep that in mind when you're moving through the seasons. You don't really need to pay a whole lot of attention to how fast another player's moving through. You want to see what they're doing, but you want to make sure that you can get the most points out of the game without, extending it more than it needs to be and potentially not getting those bigger points. So on your turn, if you want to play a card, you're going to look at this area here. You could play something from here, or you can play something from your hand. Now, there's main card types are going to be constructions. They'll say construction down here, and critters, and they'll say critter here. Now, there's also unique and common buildings and critters. And if you have a unique building, you can only have one in your tableau. If you have common, you can have however many you want. Now, you can only ever have 15 cards in your tableau. There's a couple exceptions where some cards say they don't count towards your tableau, but 15 cards to your tableau, once you hit that, you can't play any more cards to your play area. Now, there's several different advantages to the cards that are in your area. One simply is going to be end game scoring. Like I said before, this is going to be 1 point at the end of the game. The other one is sometimes, like this one here, as an ongoing event. Whenever you move your ship at least one space with the Windrose tokens up there, you may discard one card to move one additional space. So this card's really nice throughout the game to help move this ship along. And again, the farther you make it along that track, the more points you will get. This card will cost me these resources to play out. It's going to cost me 1 wood and 3 stone. If I have that, I can pay those resources and I can place it in my tableau. And that would be my turn. A couple other things to show. Some of these cards have this symbol on here. This is an immediate effect. So as soon as I play this, I get draw 5 or gain 2. I get that one time as soon as I play it. This here is going to be production bonus. This will happen at certain seasons where I'll be able to produce this good here or resource. And it also immediately happens when I play the card. So as soon as I play the card, I get to be able to produce. And we're going to go over seasons in a little bit, and you're going to see where that comes into effect. And we also have these spaces here, which are going to be unique spaces. This one here is going to allow me to place my worker in my little tableau. And this one simply is going to move my ship 3 spaces forward, which in essence is 3 points every time I use it. In addition to that, there's going to be end game scoring cards. Oh, I do have one out here. So this end game scoring card at the end of the game, so this is what it'll be worth at the end of the game, but this is the bonus points that I'll also get at the end of the game for having this card in my tableau. For each unique construction, remember, there's constructions and critters, and they can be unique and common. So every unique construction I have in my city, I will gain 2 points. So this can be worth a lot of points at the end of the game. Now I showed you how to play constructions. How to play critters is a little different. Critters always cost mushrooms. So you have to have this mushroom resource to play it. And they all have the same different types of cards. Like this one's an immediate effect card. So I could play this one for the 2 mushrooms. However, we have these anchor tokens that we got in the game. And with these anchor tokens, I can play a critter for free if I want. What I have to do to be able to do that is I have to have a building with this same type of symbol on here. So I have to have like an immediate effect one. So if I would have played this building out and this building was in my tableau, I could place one of my 3 anchors on it and play this critter for free into my tableau, and that will count as my turn. Now, you only ever have 3 anchors. You'll never get them back. If you remove the card that the anchor's on, the anchor's still used. So you only get to do this 3 times in a game. So you get to play 3 critters for free in the game. You probably don't want to waste it on this critter, but if you need to, you need to. And that option's available. So that is everything you can do for play a card. Simply, if you're going to play a card, pay the resources, use your anchor, and play a card from your hand or this tableau. If you play a card from this market area, then you will replace it at the end of your turn. If it's a duplicate of one of the ones that are out there, you'll place it on top of that card, and then you'll place another one out until you have 8 unique cards. So that is play a card. A couple side notes about your hand. You can't have over 8 cards. If you're supposed to draw a card and you have 8 cards, you just don't draw the card. If you need to give a card to an opponent, you need to give a card to an opponent who can take it first. If no one can take a card, everyone has 8 cards in their hand, you don't have to worry. You just discard the card instead. So, hard 8 card limit on there. Now, worker placement. You can place a worker on the board. You start with 2 workers. You'll gain more throughout the game, through the seasons. You'll gain 1 each season. We'll go over that when we do your last option for your turn. If you go to one of these islands, you'll simply just collect what it says on here. Like this, you'll get a driftwood, you'll get a seaweed, and a mushroom. Some of the ones like this here, this is a wild icon, so I can get any 2 resources I want. And this one here will let me copy any shoreline tile here, and I will also get a card. There's other spaces like here. Here, if I go to docks, these will only allow 1 worker each. A lot of space, these will only allow 1 worker each. These will allow any number. So if I go to docks, I can discard up to 3 cards from my hand and get any 3 resources that I want from here. These are the resources I'm talking about. If I go here, I could discard any number of cards, then draw up to my hand limit from either the deck or the bay. When I'm drawing cards, I can draw them from here or from this bay or the market. After I'm done drawing cards, these would be replaced. And again, any duplicates would be placed on top of their duplicate, and we make sure we have 8 unique cards. These spaces here simply just give me these resources. This one here will give me 3 driftwood. This will give me 2 seaweed. This will give me a stone and a card. And this will give me 2 mushrooms. Now we only have 1 more worker placement spot left, and that's going to be the dunes. So if you go to the dunes, you can acquire one of these map tiles. You can only have 1 of each type of map tile, and as you saw before, the multiplier will drop as we go. So the first person with gifts will get 2 points per map tile they have. Now that you have to have unique map tiles, so the most map tiles you can have is 6. So if you had all 6, it would be 2 times that 6, so 12 points. However, every other map tile you have, unless you get the zeros, have multipliers too, and those all count. So you can get a ton of points from these map tiles, especially going to them first. Well, how do you qualify to get those? If you go to the dunes, any number of characters can go there. You have to have, or any number of workers can go there, so your opponents can go there too. You have to have this number of symbols in your tableau. So I have to have 3 of these immediate effect icons in my tableau at the time that I try to claim this. If I lose them later on, I don't lose the map tile. That's not a big deal. But I can claim this, and I will place it in my area, and that will be held for endgame scoring. And like I said, you can get a ton of points from those map tiles. Now, one of the things I glossed over in playing a card, which I do need to swing back, so that was worker placement. One of the things I glossed over in a card is if you play, like, you're going to take a look at these things. You're going to have these windrose tiles right out, and right now I'm looking for common, so a card that says common, and a card that has an immediate effect. If I play that, then my ship gets moved up. So if I played this common building that has an immediate effect right here, see if I can get that focus, my ship would go up too. And if my ship goes up and I hit an area that has this little treasure icon, I will get this treasure token. This treasure token right here is worth 2 points at the end of the game if I don't spend it, but I could spend it for any resource. So I could spend it as a wood, seaweed, stone, or mushroom. So those come in handy. that is the main ship movement. There's tons of cards, as you saw earlier, that'll help move your ship, but paying attention to those windrows and playing the cards that at least have one factor that matches those can really help out in gaining a lot of points. However, don't let it blind you to a strategy in the game that could get you even more points. So that is worker placement portion. Those are the places you can go on the board, and that's what you can do. The other option you can do on your turn, again, you can only select one, is you can move to the next season. If you move to the next season, you'll get what it says on here. So if this is the first time, and I'm going into spring, I'm going to be able to produce. Remember how I said that if we're looking at these little icons right here, when I first place it down, I will get that resource. But if I go to a season that allows me to produce, every card that I have that has this little icon, I will get that resource again, or card, or wherever it says. Then I will also get an additional worker. So I'll get my additional worker. I will retrieve all my workers from the board, and I'll be ready to move on the next turn and place workers and play cards. If I'm the last one, the last player to go into that season, I will then also, that player will flip over the next windrose tile. So now everyone's looking for cards that allow you to have worker placement spots in your tableau. And they're now looking for critters to move up their sail ships when playing cards. Now, if I then move on to the next season, so the next season here won't produce, but I will get another worker. So I will then have my fourth worker. I will gain 2 cards from the bay. So I'll pick 2 cards from the bay, and then after I get them, I will replace those cards. That's it. If I'm the last player, I will again flip over those 2 windrose tiles, but then I also get to pick 2 of these island tiles and sink them. So I don't want people using this or this, and they're gone for the rest of the game. That's the summer season. Now, if I go into the fall, that'll be my last season. And when into the fall, I will get my last worker. I'll be able to produce on all of those green icons. I will get 2 cards from either the deck or the bay. So this is going to be your bay, and that's your deck. And I will be able to continue on with my last season. After I'm done with that and pass, I'm done for the game. Now, swinging a little bit back on this fall season, if I'm the last player, I simply get to flip over the last 2 windrose tiles for the new objectives that have to be met to move the sail ship forward beyond card effects. So that is how you play the game, and you will continue on doing this, like I said, until you are past the fall season, you've done everything you want to do, and then you pass. At that point, no one can affect your tableau, no one can touch your stuff. You're effectively going to just wait until the others have finished. That normally happens pretty quickly. So after that, everyone's going to score up their points. So for scoring, this is the one thing I wish the game had, was a score pad, but we're going to go run through it. The first thing you should score is super easy. Wherever your ship is, that's how many points you have. So just write down those points. So if I'm here, I have 38 points. That's it. Done. Next, count up how many shells you have. Each of these are worth 1 point each. Next, count up how many treasures you have. These are worth 2 points each. Next, go through your tableau and look at these points right here and count them all up. So once we have all that up, we have pretty good where we're going to be at. But we have 2 more things to score. The next thing we have to score is if we have any cards like this. And if we have any cards like this, we're going to take a look at the card and score those bonus points. Write all those down. And then the final scoring thing we have to do is these map tokens. So let's get an example here. So here would be my example. So let's say I have these 3 map tokens. So the first thing I would do is on the far left here, I would score this one. This would be 2 times the number of map tokens I have. So that's going to be 2 times 3, which gives me 6 points. This one's 1 times the map tokens I have. So that's 1 times 3, which is 3 points. And this is 1 times the map tokens I have, which is going to be 1 times 3, which is 3 points. So I have 6, 3, and 3. So that gives me 12 points. And that's how map tiles score. We're going to add up all those scores, and the person with the most points is going to win the game. Now, there is a couple tiebreakers that you can run into if multiple people have the same score. Never ran into that, but you can. So if you have a tie, the player who moved their ship the furthest is the winner. If still tied, check the following further tiebreakers in order: most map tiles, most treasures, most leftover resource. If still tied, you're going to share a victory. So that is how you play Farshore. Now I'm going to briefly talk about a different mode that you can play, and this is going to be the solo/cooperative mode. So in the solo game or cooperative game, you can play 1 to 3 players. In this game, you're going to be using these cards here. These cards here are going to be your deck of cards that you're going to use to determine what this crab pirate is going to do to you. And each turn you're going to flip one of these over. So we're going to go over that in a second. But this is a module that you can use with it, and this will add the difficulty. We'll go over that in a second. And here's a little board here. We'll put it up here so you can see a little better. That you're going to be using to track some of the icons that the bot will be picking up in the game. So this, you will be taking out these crab meeples, and these are going to be the person you're playing against. The captain is called Bonnie Red Claw. So setup for this game is going to be similar setup to the normal game, and consider it like a 2-player setup for the game. There's going to be a couple differences in that. You're going to, technically you can use other characters, but Captain Bonnie does prefer the crabs, so probably leave it that way. Choose a challenge level you will use in this game. Mark that challenge level with an anchor token for your reference. So we're going to pick a challenge level, and the challenge levels are going to be listed on Bonnie Red Claw's card here, and you can use an anchor to point to which one you're actually doing. Let's see if we get this in focus properly. Don't know what's happened to the camera today. All right. So you can go bashful, and this is going to move Bonnie's ship once per windrose that she matches. You can do bold, that's going to move it 2, and you could do brilliant, it's going to move it 2 per windrose, and you're going to have top weather, which we'll go over in a minute. Breathtaking, move it 2, and use both weather. And we're going to go over those in a minute, but those are the different difficulty levels. You're going to select one, and you'll just point the anchor to the one that you picked. Highly recommend that you use bashful first to start the game, so get used to this. And next you're going to shuffle the color markers face down. These are the color markers right here. So you notice that they match the different types on the tiles. You're just going to shuffle those face down. All right, so let's show this plan rose card here. I'm going to move some more stuff down here a little bit so you can see. So this plan rose card, we're going to place one on the bottom row for each one. And depending on what color we flip here is going to be where it moves. So let's flip these all over, and then I'll go over how these move. So if it's a purple marker, it's going to move up to 2. So you have a purple marker here, it's going to move up to the 2 area. If we have red, blue, and tan markers, they're going to move up to 2. And the green one's going to stay, or 3, I'm sorry. And the green one's going to stay on 4. Now we've set up that card. The next thing we do is going to shuffle the route cards and place them in a face down deck near Captain Bonnie's city. Now, these are your route cards. These are going to be what Bonnie's going to do. We're going to shuffle these guys up and place them next to wherever Bonnie will be playing. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the game as normal, except for these exceptions in here. When we're doing map tiles, we're going to count Bonnie as a player. So we'll set up map tiles for 2 players if we're playing solo. We'll set up 3 players if we're playing with 2 players cooperatively. And we'll set up the map tiles for 3 players if we're playing cooperatively. Now, when you set up the island tiles, you're not going to count Bonnie as a player. So if it's going to be one less. So if I have 3 players, I'll have 3 of those out. Bonnie is always the last player, but we'll start with a hand of only 2 face down cards. So Bonnie will get 2 cards. Captain Bonnie sets up workers as normal. So it has 2 in their starting area and then can unlock them through the different seasons there. Captain Bonnie gets no anchor tokens. And in solo play, you're the starting player. If you're playing with 2 to 3 human opponents, which is going to be the cooperative move, Bonnie will always be the last player. She will always prepare for a season after the humans have prepared. All other rules for solo play will remain the same with playing 2 to 3. So that is the only difference here. So we set up the difficulty level. Down here, I'm going to talk about the little weather cards here. So if you're playing level 3 or 4, you're going to play with weather cards. So you're going to shuffle the weather card deck, which is going to be this deck right here. All right, so for these weather cards, you're just going to shuffle this up. You're going to leave 4. You'll flip the first one over. And every time we switch seasons, a new one is going to flip over when the wind rose flips. So the last player to go into a season is going to flip over the new one. These effects will affect everyone except for Bonnie. Bonnie doesn't care about them. So that's it. So Bonnie doesn't care about text on cards. Bonnie doesn't care about paying resources for that stuff. She earns points for moving her ship normally, but like I said, she doesn't care about resources. She will take the treasure cards though, because she does like those. She has no hand limit. And on her turn, in the first 3 seasons, if she has any workers available, Captain Bonnie will reveal the top route card from the deck and place it one of her workers on the top location on that card. If that location already has indicated, you're going to keep going down until you can finally do it. So, for example, we'll flip this over, and if this location right here, which points to here, is open, she'll place one of the workers here, and it'll block it. If not, she'll go here, and that location's here. And if not, she'll go to the docks, which is always open. So there's something down on the bottom that's always open. And this one here will move her sail ship twice. So that's probably something you don't want to have happen. When the deck runs out, you're going to reshuffle it, and that's going to continue having her routes throughout the game. One thing to state is when she actually goes to the lookout here, what she's going to do a little different there, she's going to draw 1 purple card from the bay into her face down hand if available, and discard all cards of the indicated from the bay. So if she could get this card, she's going to discard all the other cards, and then she's going to go up on her little track here and then refill the bay. She'll also gain 1 treasure for doing that. So she can do preparing the plan, and that's going to be playing cards. If Captain Bonnie has no more workers to place on her turn in the first 3 seasons, she will play a card instead. Each time Captain Bonnie plays a card in her first 2 seasons, winter and spring, move the color marker matching the card color up 1 space on the plan card. If she plays a card matching a marker in the 1 space, move the marker on the above the plan card, and that means she's completed that plan. So if she plays a green one, another green one, and that goes up, she has done that and she's completed that plan, and she's good. After that, the marker's not going to move. If her plan card matches a wind rose tile in any season, move her ship according to the challenge level that you selected. She doesn't pay for resources. She's literally just playing her cards into her tableau. She doesn't have a limit on her tableau either. Now, it's important to note that Captain Bonnie will keep playing until everyone moves to another season. So as of there's still a player that hasn't moved to another season, she's going to keep going. Well, she ran out of workers. What she's going to do? She's going to play cards. Now, for the Each time Bonnie plays a card in the first 2 seasons, winter and spring, she's going to move the color marker matching the card's color up 1 space on the plan marker. And she's trying to finish these off. So every time this goes up, if it goes all the way to the top, it'll be left up here. It stays up there permanently. That means she's finished that plan. She's going to first try to play cards from her hand. If she has cards in her hand, she will play those first, shuffle the cards in her hand, and then play 1 card into her city. She doesn't care about cost or abilities. That'll just be a card. So shuffle this up, flip this over. She now has a 1 point at the end of the game. If it matches any of the things on the Windrose tile, she'll move her ship forward, just like another player. If she is out of cards in her hand, she can play cards from the bay instead. She's going to use the plan card to determine which card she will play. She will pick the one matching the highest color marker still on the card. So she, as of this point, is going to prefer the green cards if they're available and keep moving along until she finds one that works out to play that card. This marker will move up. She may get to move her ship up if it matches the Windrose tile. And like I said, she'll continue to do that until everyone else has moved to the next season. Once that happens, Captain Bonnie will prepare for the season on her turn immediately after you've prepared for the last player has done that. She'll retrieve her workers plus her new worker, then following these steps for each season. In spring, she claims all map tiles she is eligible for. So she'll claim all the map tiles she's eligible for based on what she has in her tableau. She'll draw 4 cards from the deck unseen to her hand. So she'll replenish her deck with 4 cards. In summer, she'll claim all map tiles she's eligible for. She'll draw 6 cards from the bay, using the plan card to determine which cards she'll draw, so the ones at the highest number, so she's trying to finish her plan card. Adjust the markers on the plan card for each card that is drawn before drawing the next card. Refill the bay only after she's drawn all cards. Autumn, she claims all map tiles she's eligible for, draws 3 cards from the bay, using the plan card to determine which cards she draws, as described above. Adjust the markers on the plan card for each card that is drawn before drawing the next card. Refill the bay only after she's drawn. All right, so the other thing is during autumn actions. So for the autumn actions, so she will play 1 card from her face down hand, shuffle if she hasn't already. Then if she qualifies for any map tiles she hasn't claimed yet, she'll immediately claim it with one of her workers as part of the same action. So she is going to probably have a lot of map tiles by the end of the game. Once she runs out of cards in hand, if she still has any remaining workers, reveal a route card and place a worker on the location shown at the bottom of the route card, then activate it as shown on the card. If the lookout is revealed as a purple card, so again, these are going to be the purple cards right here, she will play it immediately instead of drawing it into her hand. Captain Bonnie will pass after she has played all the cards in her hand and played all of her workers in autumn. So that is how she ends up finishing. In autumn, Captain Bonnie ends her game on her own terms, whether the players have passed or not. She passes after she's played all the cards in her hand and placed all of her workers. To determine Captain Bonnie's score, you're going to add up the points from the map tokens, treasure tokens, and her current ship location are calculated normally. Each green, blue, tan, and red card in her city is worth 2 points. Each purple card in her city is worth 6 points. And that's it. That is how you score for Bonnie, and you are trying to beat her score. Like I said, this solo mode can be played solo or cooperatively up to 3 players. I know I did a really quick brief overview of the solo mode, but it's cool cooperatively and a nice little element to this game. So that's all the rules for Everdell Farshore. Let's go ahead back up the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on this game. Okay, so that was Everdell Farshore. So I hope you liked this how to play. Please leave any comments down below for any suggestions you have for my future how to plays. This is a new thing for me, so I'm trying to make them as best as possible. So Thank you for watching.